nature. It's very rare to see utopia in the cinema. Mostly we are very interested in more in dystopia for many reasons. I'm just curious if you can say a little bit why you become interested in creating this kind of film and how this relates to what's happening or the socio-economic structure of the current society.
I think it's first of all, it's a very personal film, so I'm not trying to make a general thesis, but for me, for this particular person, it is his choice to continue living when mankind disappears and to start something new, to build a new world. But it's not completely, I mean, that's not the solution for the problems of mankind, obviously. I mean, this is only possible if everybody living in these houses would follow his example, the world would also be destroyed, you know? So it's not a general thesis, but for me, this is about a film about people from a generation or from a society that is rich, that has all the possibilities, that is probably abusing the possibilities of the planet in a way, and that can't decide which way they really want to go. So that's probably more the background about the kind of luxury problem of having so many possibilities that you have to that you don't know which path to choose. I mean, in the 19th century, if you were the son of a farmer, you became a farmer. But now, if you're the son of a farmer, you can become a doctor, you can travel overseas and become a teacher, you can become a yoga teacher in New York, I don't know, you know? So.
But at the same time, I think, yes, you talk about the possibilities and freedoms, but apparently in the movie, when they become free, when the man has the possibility to live in, for example, in nature, he did not want to, for example, follow his freedom. He just want to live according to the cultural society, according to which he was shaped. And it's the woman who is seems to be more free in his decision. And this is the kind of thing that I like. I wonder if you have some comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit. The idea is to play with the role of the sexes and to have the woman be the nomad and the man be the one who wants to found a family, wants to create a secure environment, and the woman is the one that lives in the moment, that wants to discover things, that wants to experience things, that has accepted that this is probably the end, but until it's her personal end, she wants to live life in its fullest possibilities, and he's the one who restrains himself.
Mm-hmm. And a strange thing is that the man is in the real life, or I don't know what in the cultural life is a kind of journalist. So he deals with, for example, mostly information or data. But when he becomes, or when he immersed into the state of nature, he became capable of doing many things, or doing, for example, electrician, or seems a man of many possibilities, which is something you cannot imagine, because in those days we become very specialized in doing very teeny things, and we can, for example, think about how we can create electricity in such a kind of. So I'm just curious.
Well, that's for me. I mean, I think you grow with the challenges you have, also, you know. And if you don't have any challenges, you kind of but for me, he's not a person that is badly adapted to the. He's not incapable, but he refuses to be capable at the beginning. So later on, when he really believes in something, when he really believes in this new way of life, then he also grows with those possibilities. And I mean, I think that's that we all have a potential, and we need the right environment to fulfill that potential. You know?
And what do you think is the role of car or mobility? Because it seems that car or mobility, or the truck, for example, one has played a significant role in the questions of freedom, at least from your perspective. This is something that when you think about the state of nature, you think that people might use more animals, but here even, for example, cars seems very important for their survival, for achieving freedom, for going to, for example, south for women.
Yes, I mean for Chelsea, the car is her freedom because it gives her the possibility to change places, to go far away, and so on. And for Armin, he doesn't need that. In the contrary, he believes that you can also be free in choosing to constrain yourself, to restrain yourself and to stay responsible for your animals, or to build the world. So I think for a certain generation, for example, for my parents, the car is really the symbol of freedom. For me, it isn't. It's just a car, I mean, in a way, it's ridiculous for me to think of a car as because you're in like 2 cubic meters of space in a prison when you're sitting in a car, in a way,
First of all, I want to know more about, for example, the forest, or where it is located, and how you make it ready for this film.
Well, we searched for this place a long time, the place where he builds the hut, because I mean, obviously Germany is a very populated country with 80 million, small country with 80 million inhabitants. So, and with every space is used for agriculture and so on. So we had to find a nature preserve where we could shoot this movie, and at the same time shooting in a nature preserve is not so easy because you can destroy things when you're shooting a film. So we searched for a long time, and then we found this place which we really liked, and we were lucky to convince the people who were responsible for that place to let us shoot there. And it's near Hanover, between Hanover and the Ruhr region in Germany. It's before the country really gets, it's the last region where you still have valleys and so on, and then Germany becomes for a long time very flat, and I'm very attached to this hilly country because that's where I'm from.
And how was the experience of working with animals?
Different. It depends. I mean, working with a horse was really nice for Hans, especially because it was this really old, very stable horse that was used to work in the fields, because it came from a farm where they still work with horses. And then the goats, I really loved them, although they're very stubborn. Somehow you can always find a way to get them interested. But the two didn't get along very well, the goats and the horse. The horse really hated the goat and attacked it, so that was a problem. And then working with trained animals was also a little bit difficult, and with the dogs especially. Mm-hmm. But working with humans is also very good.
And Armin seems not very in favor of idea of, for example, visiting cities. When she suggested Kirsty to go and visit Berlin, he said, no, Berlin is not a place that I want to go. I think the only location that they visited together was kind of porn shop. So I'm just curious if you can say.
Well, the videotape with the porn section, yes. No, for Armin, he doesn't want to be reminded of the mankind that disappeared. So, and anyway, a city only makes sense when it's populated, So he doesn't. He wants to forget all that, and he wants to start from new. And she's interested in going to the cities because she can find different things, experience things. So it's a completely different concept of life the two of them have, So, and when he says Berlin is boring, it's kind of funny also, because he moved to Berlin as a young man as soon as he moved out of the German province. For him, it was something really exciting. But now he came back, and Berlin is boring.
And I'm also interested why Armin and Chris as a name. Chris is kind of Finnish name.
Kirsi,
yes, and Armin is kind of German name. So is it that's the selection of name, or this name says something about this character?
I mean, the name Kelsey is really a choice that was in the script, and somehow felt even if it's Scandinavian name, it could also, I mean, you can also, in Europe you can call your child however you want. You can be a German and call your child Ali, or you can, so it's not, it's not like that anymore that people, that names are attributed. So no, it's not there's not a symbolic level of it. It was really the names I started writing with and I got attached to, and they stayed that way.
And I'm curious about the transition then, because the movie is has two parts. The first one is more urban life, and the second part is more in nature. And the transition between them seems happened just after the death of grandmother, and so we don't see how this transition happened. We just immerse, or we just see ourselves in it. So I'm just curious if you can say a little about why you decided to make the film with this.
Well, I didn't want to make a typical dystopian movie, because the question that really interested me is what do we do if we're truly free of social constraints? How do we deal with our liberty? That was the questions that interested me. And for me, the fact this guy, when his grandmother dies, is probably it's one of the loneliest moments of his life. So the fact that mankind disappears is kind of logical for that kind of person. You know, it's not a dream sequence, not at all, but it's kind of out of the logic of the personnage. I don't know the English word. It's completely of the character. It makes completely sense. And I didn't want to make a movie where I start explaining things and then you start questioning the explanation, and then I mean, most dystopian movies are about this: what happened, about the man-made catastrophe, and how those survived try to fight back, and that was not at all at the center of was not supposed to be the center of my film.
Nice character for the film, and was it easy to work with, for example, somebody at that age?
I was really lucky. I mean, I was really afraid of shooting those scenes, but then a friend of mine told me about Ruth, who had played in some movies of her grandson. In fact, who's also a filmmaker. And then I saw her, and I said, and I met her, and I explained to her what we were going to do, and she was so open, and she was so without fear, that because filming death is something that is quite morally ambiguous, and I really wanted her to know what we were doing and to know that we would take her dentures out, but she was ready for the adventure, and it was even here in Cannes, which was great, and we spent the evening together last night.
And what about other casting choices for the first female and male character, Armin and Kirsty?
Well, Armin I had pretty fast, and for Kirsty I looked all over Europe. And I think it's also about the script writing process. That the female character wasn't as defined as the male character, so it was through casting that I really got to know her.
Okay, and why was the casting process for Kirsty was more difficult? Because you look for certain?
No, perhaps because I didn't know what I was looking for more. No, that's what I was trying to say. I really, it was she's so, she was underdefined perhaps by the script, so it was more a process of trying out and then finding her. So I was, I think it was, I didn't know as well who Kirsty was as I knew who Armin was when I started looking for
You didn't provide background information about Kirsty?
No, I didn't. I deliberately chose not to give some. I mean, obviously I'd written a biography and everything, and I had an idea of who she was, but I felt that in a way she stayed a stranger to him, and that she could also stay a stranger to us, because she's also a kind of protection in a way, not for
And music seems a very significant element in the film. Pet Shop Boys, I think,
yes.
You used in the course. And as I realized that you used him before in the word Pet Shop Boys, so I'm just curious, what is the meaning of Pet Shop Boys and his explore to you?
Well, for me, they're really the essence of pop music. You know, I think they make music that is completely mainstream, but that is also very, very smart in its way of affirming things. And I mean, just just if you think of a song like "Rent," which is very simple, but it's also a critic of the whole capitalistic system. If you say, "I love you, you pay my rent," you know, so it's really a band that really had a great influence on me. And I really admired a